I'm not being in the video.
Hi.
Hi, Isabella. Hi,
Hi.
Larry. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Jennifer Peterson.
What's your job?
I'm an attorney.
So can you talk to me a little bit about like your job and like what you have to do for it?
Oh, well, that's a big question. Well, geez. Being an attorney, I guess the first thing that we always need to tell everybody that being an attorney is nothing like being an attorney on TV.
Yeah.
On TV, things go really, really fast. Nobody ever seems to actually be doing any work. And everybody's wearing high heels all the time. It's not like that at all. Being an attorney is primarily being a writer. We are professional writers. That's what we do. We write for the purpose, most of the time, of persuasion. We persuade courts that our side of the case is correct. We persuade litigants and opposing parties that our side is correct or that we ought to settle a case. We ask people to do stuff. Sometimes we negotiate settlements, or sometimes we write contracts.
Oh, cool. Okay, so
In order to be a lawyer, you need to finish your bachelor's. So you would finish high school, you get a 4-year bachelor's degree, and then you would take a test called the LSAT. It's law SAT. And depending on the strength of your application, including your LSAT and your college grades, you go to law school. Law school takes 3 years at a minimum. After you finish law school, then you get the privilege of taking another test, and that's called the bar exam. That takes 2 days. And if you pass that exam, then you get the privilege of applying to be a member of the bar of a person, whatever state you're in. I'm an attorney in New York and New Jersey. And you get the privilege of applying to the bar and having your background credentials investigated. At that point, if you are satisfactory, then you get the privilege of being an attorney. I was told from the time I was little that I would grow up to be a lawyer. And my father used to say to me, Jenny, you have 17 reasons for everything. You're going to be a lawyer when you grow up. But I was a good student. I was a pretty good reader. Chewed through a lot of literature. I was told frequently, because I have a very analytical mind, and that's one thing that tends, I'm not quite sure how to say it, but law and math are very similar. In math, you're going to learn things like syllogisms, and you're going to learn things like constants and the variables. And and legal thinking is very mathematical thinking. If we need to prove something through legal writing, what we need to do is we need to persuade a person that our reading or understanding of the law and the facts equals a winner for our clients, right? And it's very mathematical thinking. It means that A plus B equals C, and the other side is going to argue that A plus B equals not C.
yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. So when I was a kid, I was a lot of people, sort of tell me, Jenny, you're going to grow up to be an attorney. Mainly because I was pretty an analytical thinker. I was a pretty articulate speaker, and because whenever my dad wanted me to do something, I had 17 reasons why not. You know, I remember being a kid younger than you, maybe 7 or 8 years old, and taking a trip with my family to Harvard, and walking around the law school and stuff. And somebody said to me at that time, when you grow up, you're going to be a lawyer. I had no idea what it meant to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
You know, I had no idea at all. But you know, I went to college. I studied. Well, I learned to speak Russian. Can't really do it now, but I have a degree in Russian language. I did that at a time when traveling to Russia was off limits. So I thought that was going to be my in, to get a chance to travel Russia. It wasn't. I wasn't accepted in any program that allowed me to go. And you know, now you can just buy a ticket.
Yeah.
And I also got a double major in social work. That required an extra year in undergrad to get that double major. I chose my majors later on. I was a social worker for a while. I was also a teacher for a while. I taught ESL. Yeah, it came up sort of organically. I also taught in Minnesota. That's where it started. It started in Minnesota. It grew organically out of my social work background. I had an opportunity to do a little more school and get a certificate in ESL teaching, and I taught. I used that as an opportunity to go to Thailand. Honestly, I was kind of young and directionless, to tell you the truth. I was young and I was having adventures. I was out of college, and I was out of college for quite a few years, teaching and doing social work and doing some other things and traveling. And I said, you know, I guess it's time for me to go back to school and get my law degree. So at that point, you know, I signed up, I paid the fee, I studied for that LSAT that I mentioned, and I did well. Things might have changed since then, but I think the LSAT is scored on a scale of 800 being perfect, and I probably got somewhere around a 700. I went to Fordham Law School. It's in Manhattan. My college career is kind of choppy, actually. In that, honestly, that's been an alternative path. Most of my career has been an alternative path. Right out of high school, I was lucky enough to be accepted to Columbia University. And I enrolled at Columbia University Barnard College. And I was really, really happy there. But unfortunately, my family financial situation changed between freshman and sophomore year. So I got to go that 1 year at Columbia, and it was terrific. I earned it, and I loved it. And then, like I said, I was studying Russian language. So in order for, at that time, Russian language was a pretty rare and very competitive sort of thing. And Columbia would only take summer credits if I were to earn them at either Columbia, Harvard, or another university in Vermont called Middlebury. So I did that summer at Harvard. I did 8 credits of Russian at Harvard because I was intent on transferring them back to Columbia. And during that summer, I got the first big devastating disappointment of my life, and I found out I wasn't going back to Columbia for sophomore year. You know, at that time, I was on a certain trajectory, on a pretty traditional trajectory, right? I had come right out of high school, I had done well in high school, I had done well on my exams, and I had gotten into the school of my dreams. And I was really, really happy. But that changed, and it put me on an alternate path for the rest of my career, frankly. And I didn't see it coming. I found out that summer I wasn't going back to Columbia, and then ultimately I ended up at Albany University, which is part of the state university system of New York. Albany's a big university. It's a pretty competitive school, but it was a very, very different climate than where I'd come from. So that's how I found social work. Fordham University undergrad is is in the Bronx, and they have a beautiful old campus. It's run by it's called the Jesuit University of New York, which is one of the oldest order of priests in the Catholic Church, and they have this wonderful, gorgeous campus in the Bronx that's really old. But the law school is located in Manhattan. It's a much smaller, much more modern campus, and it's located right next to Lincoln Center. It's near the Time Warner Center and Columbus Circle and Lincoln Center. I think I was pretty confident that I could do it. And I also participated in the mock trial at high school, which was very, very demanding and interesting.
Yeah. But like you got like real judges and stuff.
Yeah, I tried to reach out to the mock trial coordinator at High School North because I was gonna try to see if I could help and maybe even try to get something going at the middle school. I haven't heard back yet. But what happens in mock trial is that everybody plays a role, and you put on a pretend trial. You get facts. You don't get scripts. You get facts.
Yeah.
So you get facts and a story. And as in all stories, everybody has their own perspective. So witnesses rarely see the same thing. One witness might see, a white guy in a purple shirt, and the other white witness might see an Indian guy in a turban. But all the participants in the mock trial get the facts from their perspective, and they get to argue and testify as to why their side wins.
That's interesting.
I would say that if there's an opportunity to participate in mock trial, this is a good thing for anybody at any stage of life, frankly. Any stage of life, any stage of education, and frankly with any goals in mind. Mock trial is, it's not necessarily only about being a lawyer. It's about thinking and analytically and persuasively.
It's like good for debating, like if you want to, just like good speaking, like public speaking maybe, like there was another elective that was like, it was like public speaking when you had a debate, and it was like good for like everything.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. There's lots of different kinds of cases, and not every one of them goes to court. I do civil litigation primarily.
Okay.
So what that means is not criminal.
Yeah.
My lawsuits are primarily over money. If I were to go to court, I do a lot of things that rarely bring me to court as well. But if I were to be in court, it would most certainly be over a civil lawsuit.
So have you ever gone to like court for that? Like,
Sure.
you have, yeah. So can you tell me like what happens? Like, if you come into court, is it like someone goes up to the stand, like gets sworn in, like holds a book, and like someone says like objection, and like
all those things happen. All those things, they just don't happen quite as fast
Like
or
evidence.
quite as dramatically as they do on TV. Nobody comes running in with the hot evidence. It's not Perry Mason. But it's hard work, and it can be really exciting, honestly.
Yeah.
The exciting part is usually done here in the office, frankly. And it's in the writing more often than not. And then you get to go to court, and you get to make speeches and question witnesses and say objection. Sure.
Do you say that a lot?
Argumentative. Yeah, you get to say that. Objection, hearsay. Objection, asked and answered. Yeah, you get to say all that stuff. This is what a lawyer does, honestly. You come to me with a client and you say, well, they're suing me, right? Can you fix it, stop it, make it go away? So, well, what happened? And then in the course of representing you, it's my job to tell your story. I am a storyteller, I'm a writer. That's my job. It's theft, right? And theft, if he did it, has been accomplished via identity fraud, frankly. Because when you take somebody's credit card, that's what you're doing, and you use it, you are stealing their identity. A credit card doesn't present, it's not money, right? It's your identity, it's your representation that you will pay this money. And it is a company, Visa or MasterCard or American Express or some other company's representation that they vouch for you behind the back end. Okay, so here's what he did. He stole the card. Big deal, right? He used the card. Oh my God, he stole her identity and he stole her money. Right there. Now he says he didn't do it. What that is called is a defense. Okay? So she is the plaintiff and he is the defendant. Because he is obligated to, or he's not obligated, he needs to either pay her back, right?
Yeah.
Or provide a defense that is recognized at law and that will cause the judge to decide that it really wasn't him. He didn't do it. The plaintiff, which is the girlfriend, always has the burden of proof. The plaintiff has to prove a number of things in this instance. She has to prove that he was the one that took the card. So she did a good job there. What she did was she presented evidence in favor of her case. Now, my job, if I were representing either of those people, the plaintiff who had her money, her identity and her money stolen, or the defendant who didn't do it, right, would be to prove to the judge who was right, or who had carried the burden of proof. Because sometimes, most of the time in these cases, we never know. It's not TV. Aha! I got the evidence. Oh, somebody cries and and gives in, and they say, "Oh, I didn't," and they admit it.
Yeah.
Nobody ever admits it. Nobody's gonna admit it.
Yeah.
That's silly. So the judge decides. We don't know for sure, but the judge decides that one side or another has proved their case to her or him. I've never represented a criminal defendant. I've been to jail during my social work education. I worked for a year actually in a jail, and during my law education, I interned with a criminal court judge. So I worked in his office and watched those trials, but I've never represented a criminal defendant. My clients are mainly businessmen. Or businesses. I'm what's called a general counsel to a number of businesses. And what that means is I provide legal advice and legal work on all sorts of matters that rarely end up in court. For example, recently one of my clients, so this office that we're in actually belongs to a client.
Two clients?
Yeah, 2 clients. Actually, many clients, because the 2 men that you met are owners of many real estate holdings here in New York and in New Jersey. Here in New Jersey and also in Florida. So, and each of those real estate holdings is a separate company. So I represent all of the companies. I don't do all of their legal work. Sometimes I manage other attorneys and sometimes I don't. Sometimes we hire other attorneys to do work that I don't do. But for example, something that happened recently is they wanted to buy a new piece of property and they wanted to use it for a use that is not already approved by the township. So we had to go before the township board and request what's called a approval, and we got it. So that's an example of something that we would do. The result of that is that that piece of property is now worth a lot more than it was worth before, because we can do a lot more with it. A piece of property is worth what you can do with it. And now you can do a lot more with it than you could before. So this is how I add value. They pay me, and now their piece of property, they pay me a little bit, and now their piece of property is worth a whole bunch more.
So, like you said, Isabel said you had like a bigger law firm before. Like you worked.
It wasn't a law firm. You are a property manager, right?
Oh, well, yeah, I multiple things. At one time, I owned and this is part of my alternate path through the system. At one time, I owned a property management business. I still own that property management business.
Just not.
It's not as big as it was at one time, but I got into that, and I own that. And then I've worked at different law firms at different times. I've been a mediator as well. But right now, this is where I'm at. I'm general counsel. I'm taking on other cases, and I'm opening an office downstairs. And before you leave, I'll show it to you.
Or
So, now more about like just being a lawyer in general. So, what's the average length of like a work day? Like,
Oh gosh, a work day, Lord. It's lawyers work a lot. One thing that you need to really understand about being a lawyer is it's mostly in your brain, and that's hard to turn off. So I would tell you that lawyers work 24 hours a day. Every lawyer I know works 24 hours a day because it's in your brain.
yeah.
The more you work for yourself, as opposed to the more you become the owner, as I am now, the more you work 24 hours a day, whether or not you're sitting at your desk. I sit at my desk anywhere from 4 to 14 hours a day. A lot of what we do, because we are writers and persuaders for the most part, and researchers, is figure out how to say stuff and how to win an argument. And a lot of that requires, it just requires decisions and thought. So this is the moneymaker, and it's always turning. Lawyers work on, they work two ways. They either work by hourly fees or contingent fees. Hourly rates vary widely. I offer a really reasonable hourly rate right now because I can. And it allows me to do a lot of work that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Contingency fee means that an attorney only gets paid if the client gets paid. Client. So contingency is more like, when you see those advertisements on TV, right?
Yeah.
We only get paid if you get paid. Have you been injured? Things like that. So if an attorney works and wins and gets a sum for their client, they are then paid out of a percentage, usually 30%, but it could go as high as 40 or 50. My income varies drastically depending on what work I have available for me to do and how much of my time is actually billable. Billing by the hour is actually we bill by minute. We bill in 6-minute increments, but there's lots of work that you don't bill your clients for. Is my point.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you an example of a criminal case, right? You watch Law and Order. Every episode of Law and Order, somebody dies. There's no episode of Law and Order unless there's a murder. That's the format. Those are murder trials, right? So that's a crime, and that is the state of New York in that instance prosecuting a person for the purpose of putting them in jail. Okay, that person who may or may not be found guilty, may or may not go to jail, but the person who they have harmed or their family
Mhm.
also has a right to get reimbursement or money from them. And that's civil law. It could have to do with breaking a contract.
Yeah.
For example, a contract to provide services. Maybe I hired you to be my videographer, you know, and I wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to create a new production company on YouTube, and I hired you as my videographer, which is not a bad idea, actually. And I didn't pay you. Then what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna sue you.
How are you gonna do that?
I'm going to.
How are you gonna file a lawsuit against me?
Go to a lawyer.
And what's that lawyer gonna do?
They're gonna help and
How?
go to court.
How?
Put evidence down that they were So I'm gonna go to a lawyer and be like, I worked long and hard hours and I deserve to be paid, and it was in my contract.
Well, that's why you hire a lawyer.
No, now you just hit it. I was waiting for you to say that. You see, now that you said the magic word, contract.
Oh, did
Right?
you make a contract?
Oh, well, if you didn't, okay. Now I'm gonna switch roles. I'm the attorney you came to, and you said, "Help me."
Mhm.
You know, help me, Jenny, help me. You know that shyster over there didn't pay me. Okay. And I say, well, did you have a contract? And you say,
No.
I
Oh,
say,
then you can't do anything.
"Ooh, I don't know if I can help you, honey."
Yeah.
You know, take this as a life lesson. Next time, get it in writing. All right, now I say, do you have a contract?
No.
Yeah.
And I say the
And
same
you say
thing
yes.
again.
Yes. Yes.
All right, and now my next question is it in writing?
Yeah.
Did they sign it?
Yeah.
All right, does it say how much they're gonna pay you?
$1 billion.
Okay, awesome. And did it say what you were going to do for that $1 million?
Yes, and I exceeded that, but that is.
Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give you another contract, and this is my retainer agreement. And I'm going to say, sure, I will take your case as long as you pay me a certain amount of money. And I'm not going to promise you a win, but I promise that I'm going to work hard and try hard for you. Do you hire me?
Yes.
Okay, you sign. Yeah, but you sign, and you pay me some money, and now we have a contract between us. And since you have a contract with that other person, now I write up what's called a complaint. I file it with, where did this happen?
Like at their job, the place.
Did it happen here in New Jersey?
Yeah, they
In
did.
Monmouth County? Okay, and that person is also a resident of Monmouth County?
Yes.
Okay, so then I write up what's called a complaint, and I file it with the court in Monmouth County. I also serve a summons on them in Monmouth County, and they get a chance to answer or defend